Hi, Jelly here with another nail polish video. Today I'm using the Orly Bonder base coat underneath all the manicures. I am reviewing Pampered Polish's St. Patrick's Day collection. Unfortunately, this collection sold out almost immediately after it was launched, so they are no longer available, but I bought all the polishes to review, so I'm still going to post this video. And now that my nails are fully prepped, let's go ahead and get started with this collection. First up is Can't Pitch This, which is described as a pastel mint green base with a bright gold microflake and a large particle shimmer. I'm going to be transparent on this. I personally found that 4 of my 6 bottles had a very thick formula. This was one of them, but it was still workable. So on that first coat, you can see it's definitely on that sheerer side, though the color does build up really nicely. If you have a very strong nail line like I do, even putting on 3 coats isn't always going to be enough to do it unless you do it with thicker coats. I know on my ring finger, which is the one I normally do the 3 coats on, I did these a little bit more on the thinner side, so you can definitely see in my final photo my visible nail line a lot more. But even with a visible nail line, the color is really gorgeous, and I love that when it builds up, you can definitely see that gold shimmer a lot better. I do also want to point out that for some reason with all the videos with the bottle swatches, they've been color corrected to better match the bottle because they were too dark, but then all my swatch videos for this polish were too bright. These were recorded with my new phone, the iPhone 14 Pro, so there is going to still be some trial and error as I learned where's the best place to put my desk lamp, how close or far I should be from the camera, etc., just to get the most color accurate picture as well. Well, you can see that it definitely builds up nicely on that second coat. On that third coat there, you can see it's definitely still sheer. It gives a little bit of that visible nail line look. So definitely would recommend either doing a thicker layer for full opacity if you have a strong nail line, and there's 1, 2, and 3 coats. Up next is Clover Girl, which is described as an army green crelly with a variety of ghost flakes. This was one of the thicker ones again, though I really loved how this one felt despite it being a little bit on the thicker side. I do let my bottles rest for at least 24 hours before I open them, because now that we have more or less entered the spring season, we are getting averages of 75 degrees Fahrenheit to 80 degrees Fahrenheit this time of year, so it can be a little bit warm when I'm getting the polishes from the mailbox. So it's really important that I don't open it because that can cause over thickness. I think that I just have thicker polishes. I really don't mind. I mentioned before, I don't mind a thicker polish, especially if it's still workable. Sometimes a thinner polish is nice, but I do feel like I get less pulling when the polish is not on the thicker side as well. This one does build up nicely though. You can see when I put on that second coat that the color really deepens and those ghost flakes in it start coming out, which just makes it so pretty. I'm honestly can't wait to wear this one for St. Patrick's Day in a few days from the recording of this video, or the audio portion I should say. And I wouldn't say that this would be fully opaque in that second coat, but it could be depending on your application and how opaque your nail line is. Like for my middle finger, you can definitely see it looks a lot more opaque, and I have that big white spot on my ring finger right now, but that third coat did cover everything up, making everything fully opaque, which I really did appreciate. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Clover Girl. Again, this color is just so pretty, and those ghost flakes just make it stand out. Next up, we have Here to Patty, which is described as a bright neon green with matte black flakes. This one was definitely my favorite in the entire collection. That and the last one that we will look at today. This one is such a bright green. I love how in your face it is. There's no way you're getting messed with these nails. Another thing I really liked about this one is that this had a little bit of a thinner formula. It was not as thick as the other ones, which I really do appreciate. One thing I did like that even though it wasn't as thick, it still wasn't thin at all, so it was still super easy for me to work with. And look at the opacity in that first coat. I would say this one is almost a 1-coater on me. Even with going a thinner coat, it's still so beautiful. I did notice that this one does dry down slightly darker than when it is wet or freshly applied, but that might just be the nature of the pigments as well in it, and then the black flakes as well. I would personally wear this one in 2 coats. I really love the opacity that it gave me for it. You can see that it nicely covered everything for me in that 2 coats, but in my video style for swatches, I did use that 3rd coat on the ring finger just so you can see the difference. If you have longer nails, like really long nails, you might want that 3rd coat, but if you have shorter nails like I do, that 3rd coat most likely won't be needed unless you're really not careful or you're just trying to be really picky with your manicure. But for me, I found 3 coats was a little bit too much, though I did appreciate I still had a little bit of deepening of the color as well. This one's just so pretty. And there are 1, 2, and 3 coats of Here to Patty. Next is my Lucky Charm, which is a white crelly with a variety of green micro glitter as well as green and golden flakes. Because of all those micro glitters that are green in there, that if you look at the bottle in person or on Timberland's official website for Pampered polishes, you will see that that base is actually white. But in my videos, because of how many of those green flakes are in there, it made that bottle shot have a green tint to it. I promise the bottle in person, it's definitely a white crelly. And if you know anything about Timberlin, is that she is, in my opinion, the master of white crellies. I love the formula. I do think because of all the glitter, this one did end up being a little bit thicker than what I'm used to feeling from her, but it wasn't as thick as the first one that we looked at. This one definitely is such a fun polish, nice and simple. Definitely if you are looking for something that is a little bit more on the lighter side for the colors, that's something that isn't too bright but still is fun to work with. I personally found that 2 coats was perfect for me and my nail length, though I know some people might prefer that 3rd coat. Again, the number of coats is everyone's preference. You could also just wear it with that 1 coat and it just adds a nice touch of color as well. I definitely love the formula on this one. I didn't let my pinky dry long enough, or my ring finger dry long enough for that 3rd coat, so there was a little bit of pulling, which is why it is important that you wait the full time for the bottom layer to dry, just to make sure that everything works out fine. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats. Next up is Shamrock and Roll, which is a clear base flaky balm containing green, gold, and turquoise metallic flakes. On the website, it says it can be worn as a topper or built to full opacity. Now, this one was definitely super fun to work with, but like my last experience with flaky balms, it definitely gets messy. The base is clear, but as with the last polish, because of all that green in it, it gives it this green tint in it. This one is so beautiful. I would definitely wear this one as a topper, but I also like that you can still wear it on its own with building up. I found it wasn't too hard to build up with. It was really easy to work with, especially after my first experience with flaky balms with the rogue lacquers. Imagine nearing quad. So I'm really happy that I knew what I was doing before coming in with this one, especially because Pampered Polish just uses a much fluffier brush. So as you can see, while it's not perfect on that second coat, it does build up really nicely. So if you are looking for full opacity, I would definitely go in for that third one, or go a little bit thicker on your coats if you don't mind that. You can see that my coats on my ring finger were a little bit thinner, but once I added that third coat, it reached full opacity, and I felt like you couldn't see any visible nail line unless you were looking really close to it. And there is that third coat. It's just a really pretty polish. Love that it can be worn either as a topper or as a standalone polish, which gives it a lot of diversity. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Shamrock and Roll. And last but certainly not least is Zero Lux Given, which is a primarily green to gold multi-chrome base that shifts from blue to purple at extreme angles, also containing scattered holographic effect and holographic plates. This one was definitely the showstopper for me. The first time I saw her video of it, I literally gasped just because of how beautiful this polish is. Even on that first coat, if you are doing it a little bit thicker, I would say you could easily get away wearing that if you just want a pop of color on your nails. But if you want to do the second or third coat, you definitely could. I'm not sure what it is, but my first index nail usually ends up being a thicker coat, and then the rest end up being a lot thinner. I'm not sure why that is, but I am working on trying to keep it as even as possible. As you can see that when I move my finger around, you can definitely see that hollow sparkle come out, as well as a little bit of that shifting. On that second coat, I feel like it builds up perfectly to full opacity. Because this is also a multi-chrome based polish, you do want to be careful with brush strokes. When it dries down, I personally don't feel like you can see any, but you want to try to still keep your brush strokes as straight as possible, especially on your final coat, just to help make sure that everything looks seamless. Again, I would personally wear this one in 2 coats, but you can always wear it in 3 coats. I feel it deepens the color a little bit more, or you can always just do that third coat with a really thin layer just to make sure you have nice straight lines appearing on all your nails. And I love that you can see that hollow sparkle come through even with just that little bit of wiggling I am doing. And there is 1, 2, and 3 coats of Zero Lux Given. And there is the whole St. Patrick's Day collection from Pampered Polishes. What did you guys think? What was your favorite polish? I would say my favorite polish would definitely be either Here to Patty or Zero Lux Given. Not only were they really nice formulas, but I love just how bright and in your face they were, and how they were all just so special. If you were able to grab any of these polishes, let me know in the comments below. Please give this video a like. It lets me know you want to see more content like this. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. It would let you know when I post a new video, especially if you ring that bell. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!